I am Andrea Ramirez Salgado. I am an instructional assistant professor in the Department of Engineering Education, affiliated to the Masters in AI Systems and the Masters in Applied Data Science. I believe that getting the AI Education of the Year award, it's an honor. I've been working on the intersection between AI, education, and how to make AI accessible. So I think it's an encouragement to keep on contributing in that AI literacy, that it's important for everybody. So I teach foundational courses, apply machine learning, apply deep learning, all of those technical courses. Work very closely with the AI Square Center, and I teach the AI fundamentals piece of the micro-credential, and we're working right now on creating an online version. The AI certificate definitely set up students for success, being able to understand from the foundational pieces how they can integrate that into their specific fields, into thinking beyond the generative AI, how this can help me be a better scholar or be a better student and provide better solutions. The AI effort at UF, you can breathe that like in everything that you do. The opportunities for collaboration, opportunities to connect with different colleges, with faculty in very interdisciplinary projects. It's something that UF has been very powerful. All of those resources that we as faculty have access to, not only from the technical side, but at the same time, all of these initiatives that creates those opportunities for scholarship in AI and for creating those connections between not only faculty from other colleges, but also encouraging that work with undergrad students, with graduate students.